What's going on, guys? Today we are working on another E46. It's our buddies. I love the guy. He got it back from some body work and stuff like that. He was happy with the results of that white car. We kind of told him about what it did, what it made, how the AccuSump worked, and he was like, "Get me one of those." So we got an AccuSump kit. I'm gonna show you some pretties here in a second, but actually, let me show you that now. So we aren't sponsored, by the way, but I like the products. They work pretty well. Now, I have almost all this stuff. I have to go to the hardware store to get a longer adapter for this nozzle. This piece where my fingers are, the threaded piece, unscrews. The way we run it, as you've seen previously, we need it pushed out at least half an inch, half an inch. That way the handle can work properly. But anyways, gotta get the bumper off, get the oil lines changed around, and then start working on how we're gonna lay these pipes. So yeah, let me get into it.
Leave me alone!
Alright, so right here, guys, we're looking at the old oil cooler setup. The bumper's still on. I'm going through what all I need to take apart, potentially move. Those oil lines right there come out of the block. And I'm just going through, kind of piecing up how I'm going to do this, where I'm going to lay stuff. And now we jump in the time lapse. So you're going to see me go through, pull everything apart, find some things that drive me a little crazy, and then just work through it, get everything off nice and safe. And then we get into the deep stuff next. Okay, so what you're gonna see right here is I'm trying to take off the bumper beam. It's not working. The guy who made the car sent the bolt straight through everything, and I was kind of stuck at a moment. I was like, well, do I pull everything off? Do I just work with it? And I eventually get the bolt out. It wasn't as hard as I thought. So I get that out, get that all apart, and then we get on. Alright, so you saw from the time lapse, got all this stuff off and out of there. Oil lines going up to this little pocket. I like going to this area, it's nice and safe. And one of the reasons why we're changing them to go up top is just having them at the bottom of the car is prone for them getting knocked off and you lose all your oil pressure. And that is not good. So we're gonna move those around. I'm gonna put a T on this side, you know, a little. And then we're gonna run a line up through that way, up there, into the car, into the Aki sump. Now in the Aki sump, if you guys are doing this yourself, Teflon tape is going to be your friend. And Teflon tape everything. Pull this bad boy out, Teflon tape it. That brass piece, Teflon tape both sides, screw it in there nice and tight. Sometimes I have to tighten these gauges and the bleed valve. Just keep that in mind. And that should be everything else. I have never had to touch any of these bolts, so don't touch those. And then make sure you do that. Alright, so as you just saw, that nice spark show, I decided to cut that stud off just to make the one pipe nicer. Like it was just feeling like, I felt like I was gonna kink eventually. And I don't like kinky hoses. So, cut that off, that should be a nicer fit there. You saw me tighten the bases because I didn't check those, so those are not tight, the T is tight, so I'm gonna get that one back together, that one back together, and then we will start piecing together how we want to do the hose. Alright, so I wiped it down so I could look for leaks. But if you guys are doing this, keep in mind these things are really sensitive threads. If you cross thread it, it screws it all up. I've done it once or twice. It's not a fun feeling, especially when I have to order these. Now, if you buy the same pieces that I get, I'll try to link everything that I got down below, but these are a pain in the ass to get out of that plastic. I don't know what the fuck they use, but good God is it. It takes a good minute. This one's not that bad, but as I was talking about earlier, this piece unscrews and it is just not long enough for what we need. That's what she said. But alright, don't mind how dirty it is. I'm cleaning that once we're done making a mess, but so what I was talking about, this piece has to move, so I'm going to disconnect it from this T. We have more of this pipe, so I'm gonna reroute it into a different area. I'm not super happy with how these are run. There's one pointed at his feet behind that bar. I like it to where one's sitting here pointing at you, and then one kind of in the back area pointing forward. But I guess I'll just keep it somewhat the same. But I need this spot for the Aki sump, so I'm gonna disconnect this bad boy, pull this 13 out, and then the front clamps will sit roughly right around here-ish. We're gonna get some inch aluminum strap, build a little U-piece for the transmission tunnel, and then start mounting. Alright, so we're over here at the workbench. Got the 45 or 90, not a 45, and then the 20-foot hose. I'll show you how I'm gonna route it. I was gonna route it one way, but then I decided I was gonna probably potentially kink it. I wasn't happy with how I was gonna go, so I found a different way that I was gonna do it, and I think I'm pretty happy with it. If you guys have never done this, putting ends on line. This one is a lot nicer than the full steel cable. This one doesn't poke you as much because it's kind of soft. What you're gonna need, something to cut them clean with, and then we'll need some flush cuts. I'm gonna grab those. You're gonna need the wrench for this. Ideally, some vice jaws that match it, and then WD-40. With that, you should be able to make your own lines and spice up your ride. Alright, so first things first, I don't need to cut this one because it's already got a nice end on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the tall pieces to make it flush. And then once we're done with that, pull this end apart right here. We'll lube that up, lube the inside, outside of this pipe, and then put it on the vise. And I'll show you how to clamp her down. It's actually really simple. I used to think this was one of the craziest things in the world, but it's actually not bad. All right, so now that I got it pretty much tightened up enough to where I'm happy with it, we're gonna grab some WD-40. You're gonna get the inside of the hose, and you want to get the outside enough to let it slip, you know. Okay, and then this piece just unscrews from here. And here's the important part. So there's two steps. One, don't cross-thread it. Done that before. But it's got little knurls on the inside of there. So you WD-40 in there, clamp it on the vise, then you start at the bottom, you work the bottom in where you're working the top of the hose in. Once it's in, you twist back and forth, push it all the way till it stops, and then step one's done. I'll show you. All right, don't yell at me if I get in the way. I'm still getting used to this recording stuff. Let's get it a little snug. Dress it up with, make sure it's all nice and lubed. And then toss the rest of the hose on the floor. Start with the bottom. Work your edges in. Make sure you get all the threads. It will be challenging for your first time. And then, boom. I'll undo it, show you. See how it's butted up like that? That's step one. All right, that's the easy one. Not really. This one, you're going to lube the end, and we'll clamp it in the vise like this. While you're holding the tube in the anodized piece, you're gonna push this piece down in and start to tighten, and it'll lock itself together and push the tube out, and it won't come apart. Pretty cool stuff, man. Nice and tight. Put some WD on there. And then hold the hose. Start slow. That way you don't cross thread it. Then once you got it, you feel it start to tighten. Right about there. Grab your wrench and send it home. Oh, don't drop the tool though. And then just keep in mind, hold pressure on that. You don't gotta hold it like a ton of pressure, but just hold pressure so that bottom hose doesn't push out. Keep it going, get it up a little bit higher so I stop catching on that. Boom. Just like that. Now you have a spinny top. Hose is nice and connected, not going to come apart, and there you go. So let's go install this end on the car, and then we will start to route that bit through a hole I've already made. Alright, so now we're back into reassembly. Getting that hose connection that you saw me put together back on, routing it through the other side of that frame rail right there, and it's going to go through this grommet on the passenger side. They got this beautiful grommet that is just meant to be cut open and a hose shoved through, so that's where I choose to run all mine. Rather than cutting another hole in the firewall, that one works. So I'll shove that hose through there, and then we'll get on to mounting everything, get everything looking nice and clean and tidy, and go on from there. Alright, sorry for the weird light. Got that snap-on light and it's tripping the camera out. But got that 13 out. That moved for now. I'm not going to worry about that too quite yet, because I got to move a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to cut these zip ties, make some space. I have to bend up that square U piece. And then we will get the front test mounted. Point like a pinholes, get that one done, get everything kind of test fitted. I'm gonna get everything mounted then, and then I'll show you how I connect the AccuSump to the nylon hose. It's fairly simple. So I went to the hardware store, got one of these. It's just an extender, same piece, same thread. Just takes it a bit further away. That way you can use that and it doesn't hit anything. And it's a kind of a tight fit, but it actually works pretty well. I'll show you how I do it. So one thing, don't mind my pink water cup. Forgot to remind you guys to Teflon these. I probably already mentioned it before, but I'm going to go ahead and Teflon this one. So you just unscrew it. It's not super tight in there. They leave it loose on a reason, or for a reason. I'm gonna unscrew that, brake clean it off, put some thread tape on it, screw it back in. Make sure it's tight. Then we'll put these clamps on it and start to get distancing and whatnot. Okay, so I forgot to hit record. Sorry. And I ended up getting all this mounted. I thought I was doing a really good job at recording. Ended up I fat fingered. So that's all mounted. And right here, I was like, I don't know if anyone's put Teflon tape on threads, but the way I was taught was you put Teflon tape on the way you screw it, the piece into the other piece. So you follow that direction. That way, as you're screwing it in, it tightens the thread, the Teflon tape onto it, just tightens the whole on connection. Nice and snug, you know what I'm saying? And this blue plug, God, it gave me a problem. They used to come up pretty easy. I used the wrong equipment at first. Now, I did scar this steel piece, brass piece, whatever you want to call it, going into the, like, screwing it in, but with how there's not like a bolt head or anything to help screw it on, I just felt like it was the best way to do it. You just go back with some Scotch-Brite, scuff her up a little bit, looks fine. And then right here, I like to either get mine where you'll see, like straight up and down, or I really enjoy clocking it just towards the dryer where it's up is closed, and then down towards the chassis is open. Sometimes it'll allow it, sometimes it won't. It just depends on how the threads are cut. And then right here, you can make these lines without using like a vice grip or anything. I've done these lines a couple times, I know what I'm doing, but if you're doing it just by hand, just be careful. Keep in mind that that hose will pull out if you aren't like being mindful. Right here I'm watching it, making sure it's not walking itself out. It happens, but it's definitely doable if you don't have a vise. Alright guys, well, I'm ending off here. I've got some of it put back together. I gotta get the bumper beam, the rest of it, if I could use the camera correctly. Put all that stuff back on, and then that part of the job is done. There's a lot more to do on the car, but for me, that was the biggest hurdle. I always hate taking apart stuff that's already together, especially when it's working good, so it should be fun. I got all that stuff back together, intake, all that stuff, so yeah, I'm gonna end it off here. We got more to do tomorrow. I leave Thursday for Daytona, which is fun. I'm excited for that. We're doing WRL. It's a 14-hour long race, one take. That should be fun. I'm gonna try to get some video with that. We'll see if it's a full video or not. It might just be clips in the next video. We'll see. I try to focus whenever I'm hired to do things, to fully focus on that. I'm not a full-blown YouTuber yet, so can't really fully embrace it, but yeah, I'm gonna leave you guys off here. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys. Leave a like, subscribe if you like it, and yeah, hopefully we keep on going on.